All right. Well, today I'm going to paint this. This is the card that I painted today, and it is a scene from a video by Traveling Robert. Traveling Robert is a YouTuber, and he travels everywhere with a pull-behind RV, a camper, and just love watching Robert. So I took a screenshot of one of his stops. This one is in Asheville, North Carolina, and I painted this landscape. I'll show you how I did that right now. All right, how you doing? Hope you're doing good. And I want to start now with the painting. I wanted to show you the paint I'm going to use. It's Winsor and Newton, and it's called Pan Watercolors. And you can see that I've used it a lot. The yellow is almost gone. That gray is almost gone, and it's almost hard to tell what some of these colors are. But I will begin by putting some water on the paper. And we're just going to do a simple landscape. And I wanted to tell you where I got the reference photo from. So there's a YouTube influencer named Robert. His channel is called Traveling Robert. And I love watching his videos. He has a camper. I've been watching him for years, and it is just so relaxing. The guy is amazing. He writes and performs the music in his videos is his own. He has his own theme song. He does videos all over the country. He's originally from Cuba, and just is brilliant at making the videos. He knows how to make them so that they're interesting, and at the same time you can feel like you're part of the experience of what he's doing. So what I did is I went to, I was watching one of his videos. I've watched many of his videos, and the one I was watching that I'm getting this one from is when he went to Asheville, North Carolina. Now, I have been to Asheville, North Carolina, and in this particular video, he went to a KOA. And I have been to a KOA in Asheville, North Carolina. I don't know if I went to the same one or not, because it was so long ago. I'm guessing it was 1998, maybe, when I went. So I don't know. It's been so long. But back then, I loved camping. I really did. I used to camp in a tent. I never had an RV of any kind. Always admired them, though. I always wanted to. So it's kind of fun to live vicariously through Robert's videos, and it's just really enjoyable. So he went to Asheville, North Carolina, and he took a walk around the KOA and took some video, and I did a couple of screenshots, and there was so many beautiful pieces of landscape that he captured on his video. I hope he doesn't mind. I'm doing a watercolor from one of them, but I'm going to try to let him know that I did this. I don't know if he'll read my message or not, but anyway, because I got this little YouTube channel. He's got a big YouTube channel. He's got like hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and I don't blame all those people for watching. It's just so enjoyable to watch him, and you feel like you know him. You feel like it's kind of like a celebrity in that. I've never been a celebrity, so I'm talking from a guess, but it's like weird. It's like you feel like you know somebody, and the truth is you really don't know them, and they don't know you. That's for sure. So when if you were ever to bump into somebody famous, you feel like you're seeing somebody you know, but they're looking at you like, I never met you in my life. And I often wonder if it would be the same way with some of the YouTube channel guys and ladies that I watch. There's a couple of RV people I watch. Oh, there's Dave and Tanya. I like them too. They're out in Las Vegas, I think, mostly. And they've I think when I started watching them, they didn't have an RV, and then they got one. And it's really enjoyable to watch them and listen to them talk. And anyway, you start to feel like you know them, like they're family or they're friends. So, but I don't know Robert. If I ever bumped into him, I would say, "Hey, Robert," and I would feel like a starstruck kid, seeing a celebrity. But the guy's very talented. And anyway, so I'm doing a landscape from his visit to Asheville. I discovered Asheville kind of accidentally. It was back in the year 2000. It was the end of the year 2000. The very end. It was between Christmas and New Year's. And my son, Alex, who was born here in Florida, had never seen snow. I grew up in New York, so I was familiar with snow, but I wanted him to see snow. And our family dog had died early in December. And so after Christmas, we were still kind of bummed out. It was like 4 weeks later. We were still kind of bummed out by losing her. And I thought, well, let me do something to make us happy and do something fun. So I thought it'd be fun to go up to see some snow. Now, this was not a camping trip because I knew it would be cold up there. I just took some money out of the bank and got in the car. That was all I did, really. And so Alex and I drove. Well, I drove. He was, let's see, this was the year 2000, so he was 14. Yeah, he was 14. And we drove until we could find some snow, and we really didn't find any snow. I found a little bit in Blowing Rock, but it was really frozen ice. It wasn't really snow. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, so we stopped there, and he got and I thought, well, maybe this is all we're going to see. I don't know. And then it started getting dark. Okay, this is what I want to tell you. So it started getting dark, and I said to Alex, we need to find a place to stay. Now, I told her I got some money out of the bank, but I didn't get much money. I didn't have much money. And so I asked Alex, I said, if you wouldn't mind getting out of the car and go see how much this hotel is. And it was $250 a night. And I said, oh my gosh, this is not Motel 6. Because back before Alex was even born, I used to drive a lot because I played music in colleges and that kind of thing. It's kind of one of the reasons I like Robert too, because he's a fellow musician. Anyway, so when he came back and said it was $250, I said, oh my God. So then we went past a hotel that looked really cheap. I mean, really cheap, like one that you don't really want to stay in. And so I passed that one. I said, "No, that one looks like it's going to be crappy." And we went to the next one, and the next one was also $250. So I went back to the crappy one, and I said to Alex, "Look, if it's not too bad, if the mattresses don't stink, then we'll stay here. If it's not too bad." So we went in, and it was only $25 for the night. Can you believe it? It's only $25. So I just wanted to make sure that the place seemed safe and that the place wasn't so stinky, And so we went into the room, and we asked the lady if we could check out the room before we agreed to stay there, and she let us do that. And you want to know something? It wasn't the Hilton, it wasn't the Waldorf Astoria, but it was wonderful. It was warm because it was cold outside. Keep in mind, this was like December 26th or something like that of 2000. It was the day after Christmas. And it was warm. It was warm inside the room, and I figured that's all I care about. And I smelled the bed. The bed smelled okay. I thought, well, it smells okay. It doesn't smell like urine. So I said to Alex, all right, we're going to stay here. So we went down to the lady and we paid her the $25. And I still have the receipt somewhere. I kept it. And the reason I kept it is because it's a receipt like you've never seen. It was handwritten on a piece of loose leaf paper. I am not kidding. Handwritten on a piece of loose leaf paper, said paid $25, and that was it. And she just like ripped it out like a little piece, like a little piece of paper. And so that was that. Well, that night, now keep in mind the room was nice. They had a place just down the road where you could order pizza, so we got some pizza, and the room was warm, and they had a TV that worked. That's all that mattered. You know, we had everything we needed. It was really wonderful. But the thing is, I was still worried about the place. $25. What kind of people are staying here? Am I going to have to worry? The car that I had was, what was it called? It was called a Sidekick, which is kind of like a tracker. In fact, it's probably the exact same car as a tracker. And so it had a cloth top. It was a convertible. And I was worried that someone was going to break into the car and steal our stuff. Not that we had anything really valuable, but, you know, you got your stuff in there. You don't want somebody stealing it. So we were on the second floor of this motel, and I thought, well, I better keep an eye. So I kept waking up all night long. I kept looking out the window. Well, one of the times I looked out the window, guess what I saw? I saw it starting to snow. Yes, it was snowing. And I thought, oh my gosh, it might not be snowing long. When Alex wakes up, it might not be snowing. So I woke him up. I said, Alex, wake up, wake up, wake up. It's snowing outside. It's snowing. So he got up, and it was his first time in his whole life ever seeing snow fall from the sky. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is great. This is what I came here for. I wanted to show Alex snow, and here it is. It's snowing. And so we stood outside in the dark at night, and I took a picture of him in the snow. I still have that picture somewhere. And so the next morning when we got up, we were going to go home, back to Florida. We got in the car, started driving, and I was fishtailing a little bit. I mean, I wasn't even 100 yards away from the motel. And I said to Alex, we're gonna have to spend another night. And I said to him, do you think you can reach into the box and get the key back out? And he said, there's no top to the box. I said, what? There was no top to the box. I mean, this was a really basic hotel. They didn't have a top to the box. And so he got the key back out. There was snow in the box. And so we spent another night. And then when daylight came, I went to the lady and I said, we'd like to spend another night. And she said, no problem. We paid another $25. And it was just wonderful. So then that day, since we were spending another day there, I asked somebody, maybe that same lady, if there was a place where we could rent maybe a sled. Because when I was a kid, I used to always take a sled down the hill, and I thought, well, that would be fun if Alex got to experience that, taking a sled down the hill. And she said, well, there's a ski resort. Now, this was the town of Boone, by the way. This wasn't Asheville, but it's close to Asheville. So we found the ski resort. We found the ski resort, and we went up to the ski resort, and it was so busy. There was so many people skiing. It was just wonderful. Just everywhere, people skiing, and there were all kinds of like different difficulty of the hills. And now Alex had never skied in his life. I don't ski, and there was no sleds that you could rent. None of that was there. So I looked into it, and they had not skateboard, but snowboards. And I asked about this snowboards, and Alex had never snowboarded either, and it was kind of scary for him to think about. Keep in mind, he's 14 years old, he had never done it. And I told him they'd have lessons. They had this sign up there that said 1 hour lessons, and it was a dollar amount that I could afford. And I said, why don't you take some lessons and learn how to snowboard, and then you can go down the bunny hill, or whatever they called the beginner's hill. So he did. He took the 1 hour lesson, and while he was taking the lesson, I could see him in the distance taking the lesson. While he was taking it, I was in the where the fireplace was. It was so nice and cozy and warm in there, and they had drinks and they had food, and it was so nice. But I was worried about Alex being out there, so I went out to the porch, to the balcony, and I stood there and I drank my hot chocolate, and I just watched, and I could see Alex very, very tiny with the other people in the snowboarding class. And about an hour later, he was done, and he came back, and I said, well, now, do you want to try the bunny hill? And he was a little bit nervous. He didn't want to do it, really. So I said, come on, Alex, you can do it. There's nothing to it. So I talked him into it, and he got on there was a rope that pulled you to the top of the hill. Not like a ski lift, like the bigger hills had actually ski lifts, but this was just a rope with a knot, knot every few feet. There was another knot. So you're supposed to grab onto the knot, and then it'll take you up to the top of the hill. So that's what he did. Now, of course, he's got to come down the hill. And I was a little bit nervous for him. I knew he was nervous. But then he came down the hill. And he did it. I was so proud of him. I was so happy. I just thought to myself, oh, you know what I was happy about? I was happy about the fact that I had just given him probably a memory that would last his whole life. And now, in 2024, he's a dad. And it is, that day is a very fond memory for him as well as it is for me. And so that was our introduction to that area of North Carolina. And then a couple, I think it was the next summer or something, we went back and we saw Boone, this time without the snow, and we discovered Asheville. We went to the Cherokee casino. There was a Cherokee casino there, and it was just such a beautiful time. So when I was watching the video from Robert, I was having all those flashbacks of those very fond memories. And so I thought, well, I'd like to paint a card. A couple of people have been asking me if I could paint cards for them, and maybe I'll start doing that. I don't know, and the camping ones seem to people like I did one of an Airstream camper, and there's a lot of people who like that one. So you never know what people are going to like. But this is how I'm doing this one. I know I'm not talking about the art a whole lot, but I just thought I'd share that story with you. Okay? All right, now let me just kind of explain what I'm doing. Now, right now, that looks like a burnt-up forest, doesn't it? Well, we don't want it to be a burnt-up forest. We want it to have some trees in there, like leaves on them and stuff. So I'm trying to just dab the paint so they can get the look of distant trees, because it's kind of distant. There's some smoke in the air, maybe a little bit of just a little bit of a shadow here and there. So anyway, yeah, that was a great time for me. It's a memory that I share. When you get older, which I am, you tell the same stories over and over again. So if I've told this story before on this channel, it's because I'm old. That's what it is. It's what it is. It's what it is. All right, let me get some color now, a little bit of color. This is, I think Robert was in this part of the country. I think it was October. So there's a lot of foliage, a lot of yellow colors and orange colors going on in these trees. So I want to make sure I represent that. Yeah, he doesn't realize, well, maybe he does realize, but when Robert puts those videos out there, it's really a joy to watch. I like seeing them. I like listening to him talk. He narrates them. He narrates them on the spot, like while the camera's running a little bit, and he also narrates them after the fact, like in post-production. I guess that's what you would say. So, yeah, if you ever get a chance to look them up, I'll link it on here. Down in the bottom, I'll find something that I can figure out how to do it. Yeah, there's a lot of different colors in these leaves here. And that's what I'm doing. I'm basically just dabbing in all these leaves here. And it looks like there'll be some grass down here also. Yeah, it's just a matter of putting them all in there, dabbing it around, getting the yellows and the oranges, and you know, if it's not dark enough, you can always go back and darken it, just by simply adding another layer. Yeah, I don't have the best brushes, but I don't think that matters. The only thing that matters with brushes is that they do what you want them to do. That's the only thing that matters. You know? So yeah. So this week Robin and I have been doing the radio show. We retired from radio. So we don't do a radio show anymore. But we're still in touch with the people who own the radio station, and the guy who does the morning show now got injured somehow, and he fell or something, and so they asked us if we would come in and substitute, just sit in and be the fill-in. So that's what we've been doing this week. It's kind of fun to be back on the air. It's kind of neat. About the first day, I think I was rusty. I don't think Robin was rusty at all. I think she was great, but I was a little bit rusty. And then by the second day, I had it back. You know, because it's not records. It's a talk show, so you're not playing records. You're talking to people, interviewing guests, etc. So it's there's a little bit to it, and yeah, that whole idea of coming up with questions and, you know, making them conversational and not so dry. Rob and I did it for 36 years, so it wasn't like we had never done it before. But yeah, this is a matter right here. What I'm doing here is a matter of just constantly reassessing it and making sure that it looks the way you want it to look. And I'm trying to make sure I have a little bit of color in here. These leaves it's autumn when Robert was there, so just keep working it. Get these yellows and these browns and these oranges. And then of course we'll have to reproduce it down here. This is going to be the water, so we'll have to have the shadow there. So when I watch Robert, I think to myself that I'd like to actually use an RV one day. I don't know. I like camp. Rob and I are going to go camping in April. We have a tent, and Robin's brother has an RV, so he has an RV, and we go camping with him. And if her mother feels well enough, her mother's 91, so if her mother feels well enough, she'll probably come with us. But she won't sleep in the tent. She'll sleep in the RV with Robin's brother and his wife. And it's really enjoyable. You know, we have the campfire. I love the campfire. And I know it's maybe politically incorrect, but I smoke a cigar. It's nice to sit outside by the campfire smoking a cigar and, just shooting the breeze, talking, reliving memories, whatever, making new ones. You know what I mean, right? Yeah, so here we go. It's starting to happen here, this whole cluster of trees here. Here we go. All right, now let me come over here. Add a little bit of green. We have a lot of things happening in the water also. A lot of light stays in the water, so got to keep the white from the paper. So that's easy to see. And then this would be, there's a lot of stuff that would be reflected in the water. And then there's there's a tree in the foreground here that has a limb that's poking into the picture. I kind of like this idea of bringing that up here and putting some of these very, very far-reaching limbs from a tree that's outside the picture. Yeah, I like it. You can see it right now. It looks like it's starting to look like the limbs are reaching up, and as trees do. So I got Robert's theme song in my head right now. Riding in my RV. That's what he sings. That's what I want to be, or something. I want to be free in my RV. Riding. He's a nice guy. Maybe one day I'll be camping and I'll see his RV, his mini tinny. That's what he calls it. I'll see that and I'll say, hey, that's Robert, and then he'll be freaked out because it's like he's famous and he doesn't know who I am. And I'll be seeing him and he'll be like, oh no, another fan. I'm sure he gets it a lot though. I don't know. Yes, just put a few leaves here, just hanging on. The one I did with the Airstream, I got a few text messages from people asking me for the card, and I do sell the cards. I put them on my website. It's called Pixels. It's a Pixels site. A lot of people use that Pixels site to sell photography, and a lot of artists use it also. And I was using it for to sell digital art that I was doing. And I still do, but I don't do as much digital art anymore, but I still like doing it. What I like about it is you can hold it in your lap, you can mess with it on, you don't have to have water, you don't have to have brushes, you can do whatever. Okay, gotta get some more water on here. It's a little bit too wet. Get some yellow in there. I think one of the tricks to doing the watercolor landscapes is to make, especially when you have water reflecting, is to make sure you have a lot of white space that's still on there, because the white space is the water basically, or it could be the shore, or it could be reflections. It's just so many different things that it can be. Now, in this case, I probably need to water it down a lot and just spread it out. Make sure it stays light and gradually gets darker. And there's a lot of reflections in the water, so just get it wet, spread out the water here. And then some of these branches are also reflecting in the water, so you have some of that stuff up there that makes its way down here. Yes, I think when Robert was videotaping the scene that I'm painting here, I think he was just walking around the campground. I don't think this is the exact scene that he could see from his campsite. I think it was, he took a walk. That's inspiring too. He takes hikes. It definitely is something I need to do more. I need to walk more. I'm originally from New York, and I've always wanted to walk. If you're from New York City, you probably know that it's about 5 miles if you walk from Columbus Circle down to Battery Park. It's about a 5-mile walk, and you can go the whole thing on Broadway. I think in Union Square, I think that's where Broadway stops for a moment and then continues on the other side, or something like that. When I was a kid, I used to go there all the time. But anyway, 5 miles. I know it doesn't seem like much to most people, but it's a little bit of a stretch for me. So, I mean, I used to walk all the time. I used to walk 8 miles to the beach when I lived on Long Island. Just so you know, I wasn't always wimpy when it comes to walking, but I sort of am now. All right, now let's put some of these lines here with some of these trees here. Up here, they're reflecting into the water. So we have to sort of do the same thing down here as up there, except it's more monotone. It's not as colorful. And then down here, I'm going to put some of this area here that looks like the shore or the edge of the grassy area. And kind of keep that light. There we go. So really the whole thing here is the water. So to try to create this look of water, and then keep the reflections going at the same time. This is the reflection here. Get some of these down here. Keep it a little bit light, keep it watered down. Maybe even, you know what, it wouldn't hurt to put a little bit of blue in there. And a little bit of green, I think. Yeah, water down that blue. Let me spread that blue with the water. Get it really thinned out. That green can mix in with there. See how the water makes water look like water. Isn't that something? The water makes the water look like water. Well, I'm glad it's Friday. Like I say, Robin and I are retired, but we did work this week at the radio station, so it was like the old days. We'd get up early, we'd go to the convenience store, get a coffee or soda, whatever, and then a sandwich, breakfast sandwich. I kind of missed doing that, to be honest with you. But we don't do it much anymore. But still, it was great when Friday came around and we knew we had a couple of days off. Because we're going to continue doing it next week, too. Because, like I say, the guy was injured and he's going to be out for a little while. Let's keep some of these things here. So we have a lot of this, and gotta make sure that sometimes it's just, when you're doing the art, sometimes it's just a matter of getting a balance between vertical lines and horizontal lines, even though it might not be defined as to what you're looking at exactly. Just to make it look, in this case, the objective is to get it to look like the scene that Robert was videotaping. Yeah, I'm not really a big fan of doing what do you call commissioned work, only because I like being free. I don't like having to attempt to recreate a photograph. I'd rather just use a photograph as a reference and then let it have a life of its own, rather than trying to be a reproduction of a photo, which is what I'm doing here. I'm not recreating what Robert did. I'm using it as a reference. But it is a great video. In that same video, he walked around in downtown Asheville, and that was enjoyable too. That was very enjoyable. He really appreciates outdoor, not what am I trying to say here? He really appreciates live music. When he stumbles upon like street musicians and stuff, he really does appreciate them. I wonder what he thinks of those fake ones. You see these fake ones every now and then. They're pretending to play a violin. I saw one today who was pretending to play an accordion, and they've got music going, from a speaker, from I don't know, an MP3 is playing or something, and and they think that nobody realizes that they're faking it. But I think everybody knows, and they're panhandling, they're busking, whatever. Hey, the music is beautiful, but it's not them. They're not making the music. It's coming from a recording. You could even use there's an app that will identify whose song it is. I have it. I think it's called, starts with an F or something. Yeah, you can put that on. It'll tell you who's the music that you're listening to, and it's not the guy standing there or the girl standing there with the violin or with the accordion or whatever. Okay, I'm going to sort of kind of let this kind of have a few ripples in the water here, even though it was kind of a very smooth looking lake when he did the photograph. But I need a little bit of texture here, I think, to make this work. And I'll put some grass here, some little wisps. And then I think it would be a good idea to put some of those reflections of some of those limbs up top So I hope you're enjoying this channel. I'm getting some nice comments from many of you, and I only have 90-something subscribers right now. And I get people who aren't subscribed, I guess, who write things, and it's very nice. I'm not... I will tell you, there's a lot of very, very talented artists who you can find on YouTube who have information and demonstrations that will definitely help you improve. What I really like to think of myself as doing is not really teaching, but more or less painting with you. So you can watch and you can listen to me talk. And one of these days I'd like to maybe do a live one where I could get people texting and I could respond to what you say. And not that I have the answers to anything, but just like, if you were in a room and you were chatting with other people, whatever, and you would know, hey, you're talking about your mother, you're talking about your dog, you're talking about your vacation. So it's kind of a good idea. All right, let's add some of these colors here now. Some of these reflective colors. Put them down here. And some of this green. A little less smooth, make it a little bit more ripply here. Just get some more of these limbs that just seem to be coming out of nowhere. A little bit more texture over here, and I think we're almost done. think that's almost there. I think it's like what I want. I think I'm going to spread some of the water around a little bit and smooth it out a little bit. So okay, I used a little bit of gouache now. This is dried gouache, so I'm going to reactivate it by getting it wet. And sorry, move the camera. I bumped the camera. So let me see. I think this brush will work. That one should work. I'm just going to reactivate the white right there. I do this a lot with, seems like with watercolor, I always need to come back and get a little bit of white added to everything. Just to maybe make it a little bit of more of a feel of water. This particular lake that Robert photographed had lots of lily pads on it, lots of them. So I want to kind of give the effect of that. And basically they're all reflecting the light. Every one of those lily pads has a whiteness to it. It's amazing how long it takes before you run out of paint on a brush that's loaded with paint. Some of the classical artists, if you ever read the stuff that they would write, they would do one dip into the paint. One dip, that's all. And then they come back for another dip for one little stroke. So each brush stroke was one little dip. Of course, that was oil paints, and I've worked with oils. I don't think I ever did it quite like that, but that's how they would do it. Just want to get some of these areas back here, because this is kind of where the water starts. That's the edge of the pond or the river, whatever it is. So it's a very impressionistic painting. Again, it's not an attempt to recreate a photograph. It's an attempt to create the impression of what's in that photograph, and therefore the word impressionism, like Monet or whatever, whoever, all those guys. Just keep it in the camera. Sorry. I'm adding a little bit to the tree itself because it looks like there's a light reflecting off of the tree, like little specks of light. Must have been a very sunny day. There, I think that looks like a relatively good representation of that that picture that Robert took. All right, let me just try one thing here. I don't usually do this, but I'm gonna try this. You ever see this technique? You just do this. Just get little dots on it. Just a little flakes of color. Or flecks. Oh. I don't really like that. Alright, I gotta get rid of some of that. It's too much. So I'll take my napkin and I'll get some of those up off of there. I got some on there. It gives a little bit of an idea of some flecky things. All right, so there's the KOA from Asheville. At least one scene from the KOA that Robert went to, and then I fold it up, and then you see what it looks like as a card, as an index, not a card, index card, but a what do you call it? A greeting card. See? It'll stand like that, and there we go. All right, well, thanks for watching. See you later. Bye.